Trenton 365 with Jacque Howard. Profiling the businesses, organizations, and people that make Trenton better.
You know what the easy thing is?
Hello, friend, and welcome to the Trenton 365 show. I'm your host, Jacque Howard. You're listening over WIMG 1300, New Jersey's oldest radio station. You can follow us on all social media platforms, WIMG 1300. If you're watching, it's over WPHY Channel 25, covering Mercer County, New Jersey. And if you are, you can follow me personally on Instagram and Twitter at Trenton365 and on Facebook, Trenton365 Show. You can also send me an email as well, Trenton365show@gmail.com. Keeping with the most recent theme of live and original music, I've got Courtney Danger here in the studio with me live tonight. And we're starting a little later than normal, but those things do happen. So I've got Courtney Danger. She's going to be talking a lot about her music, and I've been vibing off of 4 of her songs, Under My Dress, Still, Weak, and Simplicity. And we're going to be talking about that. But not only that, but we're going to talk about her as an artist and what she's going to be doing in the very, very near future. And for those of you who have the opportunity to see her and what she's wearing, she's very fashionable tonight.
Thank you.
And she's got the Goldilocks dreadlocks happening as well. So without any further ado, Courtney Danger, welcome to the Trenton 365 show.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
So, the first thing I want to talk about is your personal style.
Okay.
Because the thing that fascinates me about performing artists is how they always pull everything together.
Right.
And those of you who are going to see this, they can see your earrings and they can see this awesome print that you have on.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about your presentation style.
Well, you know what? I really like to just be comfortable. So that's the biggest thing is I never want to go out in something that I'm going to be like, oh, I need to fix myself. I'm going to be feeling uncomfortable. Who's going to be looking at me? I'm more so, I like colors. I like vibrant things, I have gold hair, and eventually it'll be like white blonde, then gold, but it's a process, even with the hair, it's all a part of just me as a person.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you say you as a person, have you always been someone who's like really into the appearance of fashion and speaking through what you're wearing?
No, actually, I haven't. At one point in time, I was like a really big tomboy, so over time, it's something that I grew into. I've always had my own style, kind of off the chart or off the way of what everyone else was doing. Now, so I'm more like, I like things that are eccentric, I like things that nobody else is kind of going to walk in the room wearing. That's more so what I'll gravitate towards.
Mm-hmm. Now, does that translate to when you're performing live as well? Because I know it seems that in the last decade or so that more performing artists are making it a point to let people know that, no, this is my fashion sense, this is my brand,
right.
This is my style.
Right. Yeah, on stage, let's see, I'm the kind of person that will show up to a performance and before I go on stage, I need to change clothes because I don't want to walk in the room and be on the same, you see me one way and then you have to see me a different way when I'm on stage because it's like now I'm a performer. I'm not just a person in the crowd. Mm-hmm. I want to show you that it can be different no matter what angle you're kind of catching me from, so that's my thing.
That's dope. I love that. And I guess that ties right into the whole idea of personal branding and how you are when you go out in public.
Right. It all matters because, people see me, they think, oh, she's got the gold locks, it's the girl with the voice, but I'm kind of quiet outside of music. So it's like, oh, I see her, but I don't know. That might be Courtney. That might not. I don't know. But then they see the hair, they're like, your hair takes on its own personality within itself. They see the clothes. They see, most of the time when I'm performing, I'm like a bunch of jewelry or rings or, hats or, something. Mm-hmm. Something that's going to set me apart from everybody else in the room. That's what the Courtney Danger thing is. It's being able to accept who you are and be comfortable within your own skin. That's the biggest part of me as a brand.
That's great. You know, so and I probably did this in reverse order, but your style just kind of
it's okay.
Took me off in this spot where I was thinking about the fashion and everything like that. But let's back it up a little bit and let's share a bit about your background, where you're from, and then I'd like for you to the name Courtney Danger, where it came from.
All right. Well, I'm from Trenton, New Jersey, West Trenton, New Jersey. My mom's from Georgia, my father's from Trenton also. And musically, I just kind of started, I started recording when I was in 9th grade. I started working with Link from POV. You know, he's a big staple. He was one of the first people to take me to a studio and have me record something. And, you know, I've always had a love and a passion for music, whether it was just writing or whether it was actually singing songs and not really understanding that I was making songs or, you know, things like that. But over time, I learned how to formulate them and put them together and have a rhythm and have a 4-bar, an 8-bar, a 16, you know. I learned those things kind of organically. So when I got to the studio, it was more so like, okay, just teach me what I'm supposed to be doing in here so I can do it right. And since then, you know, music it's been wonderful. I've recorded pretty much ever since then. I stopped for a little bit for school, but then after that, it's just kind of been music full-fledged.
Now, you mentioned something in that statement that struck me as not odd, but unusual, because you said, you know, 4, 8, 16 bars, but you said you wanted to go into the studio and be instructed as to what to do. Do you think that that's part of your lineage, or do you think that's just from the professionals that you've worked with?
I think it's just from the professionals that I worked with, because I always had a sense of time and rhythm when I started, but at the same time, I wanted to learn what they knew. You know what I mean? It wasn't just about being an artist. It was also about being a student. You know, and that's the biggest thing is every time I'm in somebody's studio or working with someone, I want to take something back from that. I want to learn something from it. You know, whether it's sitting with my engineer. I work with an engineer. His name is B. Smith. We've been working for about 10 years. We've been working together. And in that 10-year span of time, I've gone from just being an artist that was recording with him to an artist that was sitting behind the board and learning how to work and learning how to engineer and run my own sessions and things like that. So now I'm at a point where I can go home and I can run sessions at home by myself and just send my music out to get mixed and mastered, you know, because it's all about being a student as well as being an artist. You know, that's part of artistry is learning and growing. So,
you know, again, I got a feeling that this hour is going to be pretty awesome. I'm going to be extracting all kinds of things here.
Okay.
But I love the fact, again, that you've made it clear that you're a student and an artist.
Right.
You know, I like to tell folks sometimes, you know, I'll want to sit down with someone who's an artist, and you know, we go from just a basic conversation, hi, how you doing, you know, prior, and then we start recording, and then it's like, like, wait a minute, like, where did this come? Like, what made you switch, like, personas and so forth? But it's obvious that you've got an understanding that there's a time and a place for everything, and that you are a student of what you're doing just as much as an artist. Can you just elaborate on that?
Well, to be a good artist, you have to learn. I mean, even whether it's music, whether it's notes, whether it's harmonies, or whether it's the technical side of things of how do you formulate a song, or how do you put things together? How is this song actually made before it gets to radio? No matter what part of it is, you have to learn. It's something that you have to take with you and have an understanding of it to really even be able to deliver what it is that you're doing. You know, it's not a possible way to just say, okay, well, I'm just going to go create this song. And you just go in and you just press record and then you put it out and then it's all over the world. I mean, you can, but when people hear it, they'll know what's missing. You know what I mean? I don't want people to hear my music and say, well, this is what's missing. I want them to hear it and be like, you know, I'd rather get that first, that they know that I took something back and saying, oh, okay, this is really good, or this is what I like about this. And now they can pick apart what they can hear and they can see, okay, well, she must have studied this because this isn't easy. Wait a minute, and a lot of my friends or a lot of my peers, whether they be musical or not, they tell me things that they like about things that I do, whether it's a particular run or it's a particular sound or a little thing that I'll do with my voice at the end or vibrato. People pick those things apart and they say, I like the way you did that. Oh yeah, you did. And it catches me off guard because I didn't think nobody was going to pay attention to that, but you did, and I'm glad it's there, So that's why it's important to be a student as well as just an artist too.
That's awesome. Now, I know you mentioned ninth grade is I guess
right.
when you first started getting involved. Did you always kind of have some inkling that you wanted to be a performing artist, or was it something that happened?
I think music has always kind of called to me. It has always been something that made me feel. And when I say feel, you have things that you'll do because you have to do them, but music was one of those things that, whether I was spending time with my dad and we're riding in the car. By the way, my dad at one point in time wanted to be a DJ. So we had this thing that we would do, and whenever we were in the car together, we would be riding along and he'll have on some oldies, the real good stuff. And, he used to take a pen and he would tap to the beat of these songs. And that stuck with me, to this point, to this day. I still am in the car and I'll tap to songs, or I'll hear something and I'll be banging on my steering wheel. It's one of those things. So that started really early with me, with my father in old school. So I kind of have an old soul because of that. And that's still the kind of the music that I listen to today. Mm-hmm. I also collect vinyl. So I'm really a student of old school. And so it went from there, and it started there. And then I got into writing a lot, from poetry. And I got into things like spoken word. And from then it became, I started writing these things down, these thoughts and these ideas that were popping into my head. And from there, they started to become songs. Okay, well, this makes sense and this makes sense. Well, let me put this with this and let me see how that goes. And I would be singing whole songs and never even writing them down. And I always had this thing where once I had it in my brain, or once I was able to say it out loud, it stuck with me. And I was very particular about how I kept my songs, so I would put them in this big notebook or binder, and I would have a table of contents so I knew where every song was, and I would carry that around with me. But it could be page 28, and you ask me to sing it, and I can tell you exactly how it goes, and I can sing it to you the way the song is supposed to sound because it's up here now. Once I got it out and was able to say it out loud, it was just something that stuck with me. So. Yeah.
I'm speaking with Courtney Danger, and over one of my other programs, and also through the Trenton365.com and the social media sites, you'll be able to see images of Courtney, and you'll also be able to get a chance to hear some of the music, the 4 songs that we'll be talking about later under my dress, Still, Weak, and Simplicity. You're listening and watching the Trenton 365 show, and we'll be back after a short break.
You know that feeling of blasting out an entire row of Space Invaders, or finding the sword to fight Ganon, or learning the trick that gives you all the lives, or all the warps, or all the whatever it was that Sonic the Hedgehog was doing? Well, now it's time to taste that sweet taste of victory once again. Presenting Game Masters, the exhibition featuring over 100 playable games throughout every era of video game magic. From the arcade to your best friend's basement to virtual reality. It powers up from March 31st to September 3rd, only at the Franklin Institute. Get your tickets now at fi.edu.
The 25th season of Trenton Thunder Baseball is here. Join us for affordable family fun all summer long at Arm & Hammer Park. Tuesday nights are Super Value Tuesdays with $1 hot dogs. Friday nights will feature Pork Roll Fridays as the Thunder become the Thunder Pork Roll. Post-game fireworks follow the game every Thursday and Saturday night throughout the summer. Create a lifetime of memories at the Trenton Thunder. It all starts at TrentonThunder.com.
back to the Trenton 365 show. In the studio with me is Courtney Danger. And Courtney, and I was sharing with her a little bit off air. And as I was listening to her music, as I'm driving, I'm trying to wrap my head around, what are some of the questions, and how am I going to articulate those questions, et cetera. And I was just saying to Courtney that it's obvious to me that she just isn't an artist. Like you're thinking a lot larger than just, hey, I want to be on stage and I want to perform. Like you're thinking, what's my brand like? What's my business acumen like? Who am I surrounding myself around, et cetera. And I want you to take that back and you mentioned your parents. And is that something that your parents instilled in you?
Well, my dad was the person that instilled working for yourself. So maybe not really so far as in music, but just as a person. You can always work a job, you can always do things, but you got to have something for yourself. My mom is a workaholic still to this day. She's a workaholic. She will rest maybe one day a week. And I take from that as well, because when it comes to music and artistry, I'm the type of person that when I'm recording, if I do something wrong, I have to do it until I get it right. Whether it takes me 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or whether it takes me 6 days, I'm going to do it until I get it right. So I kind of have that work ethic of working really hard, but then also from another parent side of, working for yourself and doing things that you love and doing what you like to do, things that feel good to you and that don't feel like work, because then it isn't a job.
Earlier you had mentioned that spending time with your father while you were driving, and that he would tap beats, and that he would play old school. Right. And you made it clear that it was, air quote, good old school.
Good old school.
So if you could just share some of those influences, some of those artists that stick out to you, and don't feel like you've got to run off a whole laundry list.
Oh, no. I mean, Earth, Wind, and Fire. You have Stevie Wonder, which is one of my personal favorites. You have Aretha Franklin, Anita Baker, another personal favorite. Chaka Khan. I listen to like real Marvin Gaye and, George Benson. I'm listening to that kind of stuff still to this day. When I go vinyl digging, that's what I'm going to look for. I'm going to look for that kind of stuff, because I know I'm going to hear something that's going to spark something, because it's going to remind me of that old time that I had, and that time with my father, and it's going to feel good. So it's going to make me feel good about going and recording and doing something else.
Now, when you say, when you mentioned those influences, Earth, Wind, and Fire, Stevie Wonder, Anita Baker, Aretha Franklin, Chaka Khan, they're artists that were transcended the typical roles, I'd say. Like, they're not only were they great performers and lyricists and vocalists, but the music that was behind it as well. And I want to take that to listening to your 4 tracks, Under My Dress, Still, Weak, and Simplicity. And especially with Still and Weak, it seemed as though the songs had lots of different layers.
Right.
And what was your concept behind that?
Well, the concept behind those songs, it started off really with simplicity. When I created that song, it was supposed to be the beginning of a story. And those 3 songs in particular are going to be on a compilation project called Love Still. So it's like half of the project will be about love, and then the other half will be about, heartbreaking, but still being able to carry on and love even after that. But I like songs that sound full. The thing about old school that kind of pulls me in is the fact that you can hear the production, the music, you can hear the bands, you can hear the drums, the horns, everything has its place. And one of the things that my engineer would always tell me when we would be working is your voice is not just like a regular voice, it's like an instrument. So if you layer it and stack it and do other things with it and play on it, it will be an instrument. It's not just a voice, it's an instrument. So you can use it however you want. So that's why I like to put the layers, and I like to put the stacks and, you know, all of that stuff into the record, because it feels good, and it feels the way I hear it in my brain. You know, I hear all of that. It's not just noise. It's a big production. So that's what I hear when I'm thinking about it. Before I even start to create it, that's what I hear. I hear the fullness and how it makes you feel, and how it's like, oh, you know, it just kind of catches you off guard a little bit. That's what I hear in my head.
Now, in addition to that, listening to your tracks and hearing what your influences are, like I can hear bits and pieces of that, but it's not overbearing.
Right.
And I think that sometimes artists have a tendency to let their influence come through them so much that it almost sounds like they're sort of kind of mimicking. But
Right.
but your music, the 4 tracks that I've heard, I didn't hear that.
Right.
Is that a process, or is that a sound that you were going for?
I technically don't try to sound like anyone. Actually, my goal is to never sound like anyone. Even though they're my influences, I look at them as teachers. You know, even as teachers, you still have to be a student. You still have to find your own way. And you can't really find your own way just walking completely in somebody else's footsteps. You have to go off the path a little bit. And that's where I've been able to kind of find where my sound lies in the midst of all these other great singers and performers and artists. You know, I just kind of follow my own path. And if it feels right, then I follow it.
That's great. I'm speaking with Courtney Danger, and I wouldn't be doing her proper justice if I said that she is just a performing artist. She is an artist, and those of you who are watching on television, you can get to see her appearance and say that there's a lot of emphasis that in personal style. Number one, we're going to be talking about her particular brand, etc. in a few moments. But as far as the influences go, this is more than just, you know, run-of-the-mill R&B, funk, soul, bluesy kind of person who's regurgitating this. But you obviously have put a decent amount of time into listening to lots of different music and figuring out exactly where your voice lies within those different artists.
Right.
Now, you've got these 4 tracks that are out right now.
Okay.
And you've got some performances coming up, etc. I want to talk about the actual business from your standpoint. You know, a lot of times people think that this industry is, okay, you come up with a hit, you send it out, like you said earlier, it's played all over the world. Next thing you know, you're all over all the TV, radio sites, and you're doing all these things, and then you're off and you're some superstar celebrity.
Right.
Can you talk about the realness of the business and how much of a grind it is?
Yeah, it's very much a grind. It's nothing really happens overnight, you know. Whether you have a hot song or not, you know, you still have to work at it, you know, whether it's working and performing that one song over and over and over again in different areas in front of different people. You know, it's nothing really happens overnight. Even being an artist doesn't happen overnight. You know, it doesn't just, you don't just wake up one day and say, you know what, I'm going to be an artist now. You know, it doesn't really happen like that. You know, for me, it really started with my connection to a bunch of DJs. That's really where my kind of grind started, because I always was recording music, and then a DJ reached out to me, actually DJ West Will. He reached out to me and said, you know, I got this record, you know, it was a Keisha Cole record. Actually, it was Enough of No Love by Keisha Cole, and he said, you know, I hear this record and I think that you could take it and flip it and do something better with it. And I said, okay, send it over, you know. So he sent it over and I listened to it, you know, and then I think it was that evening I was just like, all right, yeah, I wrote to it, I'm gonna go cut it, you know. So I did the record and I sent it back to him after it got mixed, and I was just like, yeah, you know, tell me what you think, you know. And from there it was like, he was like, yo, this is crazy. So really it kind of started more so with DJs kind of piloting my beginning and people starting to get familiar with who I was. And it came from them saying, hey, I got this song. can you flip it for me? You know, can you give me something else?
And, can you just elaborate on that for the folks who have no idea what that means?
Okay, it's like, so you take a song and then you take it and you remix it and give it a new twist. So you're not saying, I'm never saying exactly what they're saying. I might take their melody but flip all the words, you know, and give them something completely different than what was there in the first place. You know, I'm doing my own riffs. I'm not following their vocals and what they're doing. I'm just taking their melody, taking that track and saying, all right, I can do something different with this. I hear something different. Let me just, and most of the times when I do it, I don't listen to the original record. It makes it easier for me when I don't hear what the other person did. So, you know, I take it and I create something new with it and then say, hey, here you go, and send it back, you know. And from there, you know, I've done those mixes for a bunch of different DJs, or I've had DJs reach out. One in particular, Grap Lovers DJ, that's Heavy D's brother. He reached out to me because of a song that I did to a it's a track called, what is it called? It's called well, anyway, it's one of the tracks that I did, and it was to a producer that his brother was working with at the time, Heavy D, when he was alive, and J Dilla. There we go, J Dilla. It was a J Dilla track that Heavy D worked with back in the day and things like that. So I flipped it, and it just happened to when I put it out, it kind of happened around like J Dilla Day. Wasn't expecting that, you know. I wasn't really paying attention, but I put it out, and you know, a bunch of people on Twitter started to reach out to me like, oh, this is really cool, you know. And Grap reached out to me and he was like, yeah, you know, I'm gonna send this over to Dilla's mom, you know, and let her hear it. This is really great, you know. So then he had his DJ reach out to me, and then we connected, and then from that connection, you know, I started to do remixes and kind of do some tracks and opening up some of his mixes that he would send out all over the world every month. You know, he had this series, it's like a first of the month mixtape series that he does, and I would put songs on there, and then it would open up with me, and it's just like, yeah, I'm introducing his mix, or, you know, different things like that. So it's really more so DJs that kind of spread me around a little bit. Yeah.
You know, we've got a couple minutes before we get up on a break, but and I'm going to touch on this now, but I definitely want to get back into it after the break. And it's the branding and social media, how important that is for modern day artists. Can you just share your experience with that?
You know what? I find that people listen to me most on social media when I'm being completely transparent. When I am being just forthcoming about the person that I am, or just things that I've gone through, different experiences that I've had, that's where I get the most reactions, you know. Not just pictures, not just always music, you know. I like social media because it allows you to speak about things that you probably wouldn't normally talk about if you're just sitting in a room with someone. You know, it opens the door for conversation of, okay, let's go a little bit deeper than the surface, or just a little bit deeper than your music. Who are you as a person? You know, and people really take to the person that I am because I'm always being so transparent about myself, my life, my upbringing, you know, things that I'm into, you know, whether it be I want to go home and watch anime all night while I'm eating ice cream and drinking Halo Farm juice out of a champagne glass, you know, whatever it might be, you know, people gravitate to this because they're like, oh, well, I like to eat, you know, and watch anime too. And it's like, what, Naruto? I watch Naruto. Okay, so let's, you know, you're cool with me now. So, you know, people like that because a lot of people are so into being an artist and being a business and being a brand that they forget themselves in that. And it's like, you kind of have to be all of that. You can't just be one side, and because people won't just stick with you because of your music. They really buy into the person that you are. That's what keeps artists relevant and keeps things going for artists that are really, really successful. You look at it and say, oh, well, people started actually following this person's story and who they are, and that's what sticks.
Yeah, we're going to talk a bit more about social media and branding and how that's been successful for you a little bit later in the program. I'm speaking with Courtney Danger. I'm just going to call her an artist, but she also does some performing, but she obviously has some fashion sense and style too that she's very comfortable with letting people see. So we're going to be talking a bit more after the break. You're listening and watching the Trenton 365 show. Welcome back to the Trenton 365 show. You can send me an email, Trenton365show @gmail.com. You can also follow me on social media platforms, Instagram and Twitter @Trenton365, and on Facebook, Trenton 365 show. And if you'd like, you can post your events to the Trenton 365 community calendar page, and you can do that there for free. And this covers literally events from New York to Pittsburgh, so you can connect with some of the folks that I know around this area. So Courtney Danger and I have been chatting not only about her influences and her background and the support that she's gotten from her family, her mother and her father, but some of the DJs that she's worked with and how she's gotten in this process, DJ B. Smith, Wes Will, and Jay Dilla. But in addition to that, we've been talking about like her personal style, her fashion sense, right. And what strikes me is this, for your age, in this business, and we're going to talk about being a woman in the music business and
right.
some of the complexities with that. But, why don't we jump right into talking about that? Let's talk about your age, number one, and then take that right into the complexities of being a woman in this male-dominated business.
Right. Well, I'm 31, and I am very comfortable in my skin. I am not afraid to be in a room full of men and be the only one. You know, I've been to shows, I've been on bills where I was the only female performer. I was the only R&B artist on a completely rap show. You know, whatever it is, you know, I'm very comfortable within my skin, and that's something that you learn with age. You know, you learn that with time and understanding yourself. And that's a big part of who I am as a person, is growing and learning in my own way and in my own time who I am as a person, and also as an artist, you know, as a woman, you know. And it's hard, definitely, being in a male-dominated field, being a woman and coming in and saying, oh, well, I'm dope too. You know, you're cool and everything, but I'm dope too.
Exactly.
You know, it's hard, you know, but when you're comfortable in your own skin, you can't really shake a tree that's standing, you know. You could stand under it, but you know, the tree is going to still stand there whether you like it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It sounds like that may be a song or the title of an album in the near future. So how did you come up with the name Courtney Danger?
Okay, interesting story. So when I first started doing music, I was under the name Tara Courtney, right? So I was using that name, which is actually my first and middle name. And you know what? I got boxed into kind of like being just into R&B and soul. And I mean, I even was in a reggae band at one point. But I went through an experience, and it was an experience personal to me with my health. And I, you know, was in a relationship and going through some things, and I stopped taking care of myself. I stopped doing a lot of the things that I love because I felt like I couldn't do it the way I wanted to. And when something like that happens to you, you kind of have to break down to rebuild. So I got really sick, and you know, I spent about 5 days in the hospital. And on that 5th day, when I came out of that hospital, I was like, you know what? Everything about my life is going to change from this point forward. You know, I have to live, one. And I realized when I was there and I was sick, and I had these doctors tell me, you know, if you wouldn't have came in today, you probably wouldn't be alive. You know, so hearing that, and I said to myself that day is, you know what? I haven't done anything that I wanted to do. And that was the fuel that kind of just said, you know what? So now you're going to do everything that you want to do, regardless, no matter how anybody feels about it. You know, take this and run with it, and don't let anybody stop you. So what I did from there is I said, you know what? Let me think about this, because I love my middle name. My middle name is Courtney, so that's where that comes from. And I'm like, all right. So I'm Courtney, you know. I never really connected to the name Tara, so that was okay to kind of just drop it and get rid of it. But then I thought about how dangerous it is to be yourself and to live and actually do things that inspire you or that you want to do, and not really be concerned about other people's opinions and what they think and how they feel about it. You know, to just be yourself. It's a fight to just be you, even on a daily basis, as in now with social media and things that we see all the time of images and how we should look and how we should act and things like that. It's very dangerous to be yourself. So that's where danger came from. It's like, I'm going to be myself, and this is how this is going to go. And because of the fact that I almost lost my life in the process, I said, okay, I feel like that means that this is a good name. You know, I ran it past a couple people. I was like, what do you think about this name? And it's just like, you know, danger can be perceived as kind of bad. And it's just like, no, but that's not really what it means. It's not really a bad thing. It's a good thing, actually. It's danger in being yourself. But if you're okay with facing a little danger, then maybe you can have everything that you want and do everything that you need to do for you to feel like, if this was your last moment, did you do the things that you wanted to do?
That's very profound. And when you were explaining it, you know, I was thinking danger, it can be so much. And
Right.
I think it's easy for people to think of the word danger in any of the negative connotations.
Right.
But But if you're a danger sign,
Right.
that's information that you may need.
Right. Right.
I think that's a profound
Right.
description, and I think that it fits.
Right.
I think it fits well.
So what I did from there after Courtney Danger, and I'm like rebranding myself as Courtney Danger. I'm this artist, and I'm doing these songs, and I'm saying how I feel, and I'm being more expressive. There became a time where I was like, well, where does Courtney Danger go? What is her escape, right? Because, you know, you have this music and you have this world, and artistry can be heavy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, being an artist can be heavy because you're thinking about all the stuff that comes with it. You know, all the business, all the headaches, all the, you know, people trying to talk to you that don't really want anything, or, you know, just so much can come from just being an artist. And so I said, where is this place that Courtney Danger can go when she just wants to just chill and just let it all go? So I created this thing called Dangerville. And it's like, this is the place where I can go to be myself and just, I don't have to be an artist anymore. I can take that all off, all my artistry at the end of the day. I can go home and I can just be a regular woman. That's Dangerville. That's my place, you know. And once I started saying it to people, and people started asking what it was, and I was like, you know, it's a place where you can be yourself. And people were just like, wow, that's so profound, because, you know, I worked this job, and then people started sharing their stories with me. Like, I worked this job, and every day I have to be this way or that way, or I have to do this and I have to do that, and I just feel like I'm suffocating. And it's just like, but what do you like to do? You know, I always ask people that. What do you like to do? What do you feel? What are you curious about? You know, those are the things that I like to talk about when I'm actually sitting down with someone, and we're going back and forth, and I'm listening, and they're feeding off my energy, and I'm feeding off theirs. It's like, all right, well, tell me about you. Well, what do you like? You know, because we all have a voice that we use when you get a certain call. It's like, hello, you know, and you switch it up, you know. But then after that, it's like, okay, so tell me about you now. You know, what do you like to do? Do you like to go sit in front of your TV and watch anime and drink Halo Farm juice out of a champagne glass? Because I do, you know, or do you like to eat strawberry ice cream straight out the pint? You know, what is it that you like to do? You know, and me, I have a bunch of things that are creative based, but you know, at the same time, there's other things. I like to plant flowers. I love sunflowers. You know, I like tattoos. You know, I like a bunch of stuff. You know, and it's like, oh, you would never really get that. You think Courtney Danger, you see this brand, you see this person, you hear this music, and it's just like, oh wow, she's so far maybe out of my reach, or she's not relatable to me. And it's just like, nope, I'm just a regular person that at the end of the day, I like to take it all off and go to Dangerville. Just be me.
Do you like to invite people to Dangerville?
Absolutely. I absolutely do. There are people that call themselves permanent members of Dangerville. Like, like, yeah, I got apartments in Dangerville, and it's like, yes, you do. You know, so yeah.
Well, we're up against the break. When we come back, I want you to go through your 4 songs,
Okay.
Under My Dress, Still, Weak, and Simplicity, and just kind of, in your own words,
Okay.
share a bit about them,
All right.
the content, etc., and then we'll go ahead and wrap things up a little bit.
Okay.
All right. You're listening and watching the Trenton 365 show. My guest tonight is Courtney Danger. She's an artist. We're going to be talking about 4 of her tracks that she has. She'll be performing in the very near future. She's got some pretty good ideas as far as what she wants to do. Some interesting concepts for live music, etc. But you're listening and watching the Trenton 365 show. We'll be back after a short break.
We've been fighting the war on drugs for a long time. We answer the phone 24/7, 365 days a year. On a busy night, we answer hundreds of calls. This war on drugs needs our intervention.
Since 2014, Addiction Hope and Helpline has helped people struggling with drugs and alcohol.
When the phone rings, we help people when they need it the most. When we get a caller into treatment, it feels good. It's a blessing.
If you're struggling, drinking, using, and need to get clean, don't suffer alone in silence. Call Addiction Hope and Helpline.
Our people understand, And many are also in recovery. Call for support and strength. You can call for someone who can't or isn't willing. It's an act of love. Together we can help you beat this thing and erase addiction from your vocabulary once and for all.
Call 800-763-9166. 800-763-9166. 800-763-9166.
Welcome back to the Trenton 365 show. In the studio with me is Courtney Danger. For those of you who have been listening, she is more than just a performing artist. She is an artist, and those of you who have the opportunity to see her right now, or at least later Friday night, you'll be able to see the video portion of this. You can see she's very fashionably stylish with some really cool earrings. I won't go into the details about what about what they mean, but for those of you who see them will understand that and get it. And I think that it's so spot on. Because I can just see you out in public,
Right.
rocking this,
Right.
and then hey, this is who I am.
Right.
Earlier you mentioned that you understand the importance of your brand
Right.
and your appearance and fashion, and that when you show up to an event, you're not walking in the door going right on stage with the same clothing that you wore.
Right.
And in addition to that, you're also someone who likes to express your individualism
Right.
in your apparel as well. Can we take the conversation back to that a little bit and just share about the importance of fashion and branding and how you use it for your own personal style?
Yes. So when it comes to me, one, I like to be comfortable. So I never want to wear something on stage that I'm going to feel restricted in, because I never know how I'm going to move. You know, I feed off the energy of everything that's going on in the room, not just the music. So I always want to be able to be comfortable when I'm on stage. And if I'm restricted, or if I got on jeans that are too tight, or if I'm, all closed up, I feel like I'm not really giving at the same time. And if you're there to receive. So if I'm so restricted and I'm thinking about all of these things while I'm on stage, then I'm not giving you what I'm supposed to be giving you. So that's where fashion comes in. I have my older sister, actually, she does a lot of my jewelry pieces. So it's like I take from really authentic places. She's making them. I have my best friend down in Atlanta that she makes jewelry as well. So I'm taking authentic things that people are sitting back and taking their time and saying, what will look good? Let's do this. I also do some marketing for my sister's jewelry line as well. So it all plays into it. As being an artist, people might see that jewelry and say, oh, that's Courtney Danger. Oh, I know her. She was at that shoot. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, let me grab those earrings. I've had that happen where my sister say, I put your photo up with you with the jewelry on, and they sold in like 5 minutes. Like that, it happens. So it's all a part of it. People want to connect with the artist. They want to feel you. They want to see you. And I'm always trying to give that. Always. And
I want you to stick with that a little bit, and it sort of ties into the idea of branding and social media, which we had spoken about earlier. But the influence that you have and others have who are in the limelight or in the public eye.
Right.
Can you talk about how you personally handle that?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm very comfortable in my skin. So I really don't think that there's anything that a person can kind of throw at me that I'm not able to handle. And I get that from, spending a lot of time with myself, Because of that, I'm comfortable when I walk into a room, that it makes it okay, And then even from that, when it comes to being an artist, you have to have that. If you're missing that, then what are people going to be looking for in you? What are they going to be getting from you if you're missing something that's going to really draw them in,
And it's interesting, too, that you put it that way, because being someone who is in the public eye, part of that maintaining that is the attracting
right.
of people, and not just your normal sphere of influence, but
right.
being able to reach out to other people.
Right, you're right. And you know what? One thing about me when it comes to, my artistry is you never really know what you're going to get until you actually get it. I have photos that I did where I'm laying there, in a bodysuit, and I'm laying there with an alligator laying across me. And they're like, is that thing real? Like, yes. Her name was Chino. She was a very awesome alligator to shoot with, or, being at one point in time, I owned 21 snakes. So it's like, you never really know what you're going to get, or they're like, oh, okay, who's this sweet, innocent girl? And it's like, yeah, now I'm pulling up on a motorcycle. Like, you never know. So I kind of like to keep people guessing too, I like to keep some of my mystery, but I think the mystery is more so people not really knowing what they're going to get, but they know they're going to get something, and it kind of pulls them in. And I like that.
That's great. I'm speaking with Courtney Danger, and the archives of this interview and others are available on the Trenton365.com website. But as Courtney progresses, she has promised to come back and sit down with me again, and I will make sure that we make it clear that people know how much I'm supporting her and her efforts. And as I was saying earlier, I've been listening to your 4 tracks.
Yes.
Under My Dress, Still, Weak, and Simplicity.
Yes.
In any particular order, can you just share a bit of your perspective about those 4 tracks?
Yes. All right. So I'll start with Simplicity. Simplicity was like the song it's what love is the easy way. There's also a video of that online. And in the video, what you see is me portraying me when I'm just comfortable with someone else and we're just sharing energy. It's very kickback, relaxed video, but it's all about things being simple and not overcomplicated. So that starts off Simplicity. Weak is the second progression to Simplicity, and it's the gradual build. So you go from things being so simple to now feeling like, wow, this person makes me weak,
When you say weak in is it a particular sense, positive
weak
or
as
negative
in,
sense?
Weak as in a positive way. Weak as in I'm weak for you because I love you. The things that you do, whether I'm looking at you, whether you're across the room, whether you're right in front of me, you have a power that makes me weak. Not weak as a woman, but weak within my heart. Like, oh, my heart is open to you. That might be a weakness. I'm not sure, but it's like that kind of weak.
Like weak in the knees.
Yeah, right. I'm weak in the knees for you. Right. Exactly.
Okay.
And then Still. So Still is further along down the line. There are some songs that go in between those songs because those particular songs are going to be on a project called Love Still. And that project in itself is kind of like not more so like a double disc. It's more like an A-side, B-side type of thing where you have songs that start the story and then you have songs that finish the story. Still is one of the songs that comes at the later part of the story where it's, that love is still there. It's not the way you anticipated it to be, but because there was love, there's still, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There has to be something that's still there, because if you love, let's just say you're in a relationship and it, for whatever reason, it changes from the way it was originally supposed to be or whatever you thought it was going to be in your mind, still is, okay, that didn't happen that way, but there was all of this love, and because that love was pure, we have still. I still see you, and I still feel all of these things because it was real. It doesn't go away, and let's not ignore the fact that it's not, it didn't go away. We don't have to act like it did, and I think what happens with people and relationships is they get so mad at the end of something that they forget all of the good stuff. And it's like we still have all of this good stuff that came from that love. So it still is. Mm-hmm. Even though it's not the way we anticipated, it's still something.
Also very profound. Under My Dress. Let's share about that.
Under My Dress is such a special song. And you know what? Under My Dress is me getting to a point where I'm very comfortable, like I said, with myself. And what I want to promote when it comes to music is being worthy of the life that you've lived, right? And being happy with yourself, because before you can be happy anywhere else, you have to be happy within yourself. So Under My Dress, when I listen to that record, I think to myself, I am so comfortable with who I am, my person, that I can now share this person with someone else the way I want to, and I can be in control. And even if I don't want to be in control, I can still tell you how I feel and what I want from you. And it's okay because I'm doing it in a way where I'm comfortable within myself. So I'm not coming at you or jumping on you, or I'm telling you what I want from you, and I'm comfortable within myself to do that because I'm strong in who I am. I'm confident. I'm this woman. I'm bold. I'm beautiful. I'm black. I'm here. I'm present. And now because I'm present, I can be present with you. And now we both can reap the benefits of all of this.
Nice. Nice. Would you consider yourself a communicator?
Yes. Yes, I would. I like to communicate. I like to talk. I like to listen more than I like to talk. But I do like to talk. Mm-hmm. And, that's a big thing about communication is it goes both ways. And even when you're not talking, you're still communicating, and your energy is going to speak for you regardless. Before you even open your mouth, it's going to pronounce you when you walk in a room, whether it's something good or it's something bad or something like, I don't know about that. It's going to speak for you. So as a person, you have to be aware of that, aware of who you are when you walk in a room. You have to be comfortable. You have to be like, yeah, I'm sure. Here I am. So yes,
When you think about your music and the fact that you're a communicator, is there a particular vibe or energy that you're trying to express, or a message that you're trying to give off, or you're just being open and candid?
I am being open and candid, but I also want to get across to people when they listen to music that it's okay to love. It's okay to love. It's okay to hurt. It's okay to cry. It's okay to feel. A lot of people don't feel, and it's okay to do those things. And once you start to do those things, you just never know what world you're going to land in, what you're going to be opening yourself up to. It's okay to be vulnerable. Sometimes you're so hard and you're so tough on the outside that you're not able to be vulnerable, but that's okay too. And that's what I want to give across. It's okay to be emotional and feel and listen and get something and be full without having to add something to yourself, whether it be, a substance or, whether it's alcohol, whether it's drugs or whatever it is that makes you feel. Because a lot of times people have these vices, and really just open yourself up. You won't need vices. You can be your own vice, That's what I want to give across, is that all the power that you look for in other things, you already have it. You just got to look for it. It's there. That's what I want to give across.
That's dope. I know you're probably available on all social media platforms,
Absolutely.
But how can people reach out to you?
Social media, on everything. You can find me under Courtney Danger, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all of that. YouTube, I'm there. And Under My Dress will be available Friday, so it will be there. Still Weak and Simplicity, they're already online for listening pleasure. But yes, you can find me. Mm-hmm. The video for Simplicity also is online, so go check it out.
Mm. Courtney Danger, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Courtney Danger has been my guest tonight on the Trenton 365 show. You will definitely be hearing a lot more from her. And you can follow me on social media platforms where I will be playing her 4 songs through some of my other outlets. The 4 songs are Simplicity, Weak, Still, and Under My Dress. And again, you can search for her via Courtney Danger on all social media platforms. You've been listening and watching the Trenton 365 show. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you next week.